Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting for Town Council for the Town of Petawawa to order for February 18th, 2025. Welcome to members of council, staff, and our special guests here this evening, and our special members of the audience as well back there. We'll start this evening off with the reading of the land acknowledgement, and this evening it's Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we gather this evening, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of Petawawa Town Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Omawini people. We would like to thank the Omawini people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years, and we wish to acknowledge our shared responsibilities in responding to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission 94 call to action. Call to action number 42. We call upon the federal government, federal, provincial, and territorial governments to commit to recognition and implementation of Aboriginal justice systems in a manner consistent with the Treaty of Aboriginal Rights of the Aboriginal Peoples and the Constitution Act 1982 and the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples endorsed by Canada in November of 2012. Recent progress. In 2016, the Government of Canada endorsed the UN Declaration on Rights of Indigenous People without qualification and committed to its full and effective implementation. This endorsement confirmed Canada's commitment to a renewed nation-to-nation, Inuit Crown, and government-to-government relationship with Indigenous people, a relationship based on recognition of rights, respect, cooperation, and partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Driscoll. And now I'd like to ask every person present here this evening if they would please join me for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. Okay, I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Moved by Deputy Mayor Savern, seconded by Councillor Roots, that the agenda for February 18th, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. I got to remember to look at the screen. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest on any of this evening's matters? Okay, we have some council meeting minutes of February 3rd, 2025. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held February 3rd, 2025 be approved as printed and circulated. Are there any comments, questions, concerns on the minutes? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, we're very lucky to have a special presentation this evening on Ending Violence Alliance, the EVA of Renfrew County. And because this was a particular initiative of Deputy Mayor Savern, I'm going to turn the introductions over to Deputy Mayor Savern.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On September the 22nd of 2015, Carol Culleton, Anastasia Kuzak, and Natalie Warmerdam died as a result of intimate partner violence. Their deaths shocked our county and our communities. Over a 3-week period in June of 2022, an inquest was held into their deaths and 86 recommendations were released. The first recommendation was for the province of Ontario to formally declare intimate partner violence an epidemic. I'm very pleased to say that this evening we are joined by Erica Dole, Roberta Della Pica, Lori Norwood, and Kim Charlebois, all from EVA. They will be here to discuss intimate partner violence, also known as gender-based violence. Welcome, Erica.
Hi, thanks so much for having us here tonight. I'm the coordinator for EVA. We were previously known as Ending Violence Against Women. We're in the middle of a bit of a rebrand. We wanted to move to be more inclusive of gender diverse folks, because as we know, it's not only women and girls, it is also gender diverse people that are marginalized and experience violence at a much higher rate. Could I have the next slide, please? So a little bit of context more about EVA if you're unfamiliar. As I said, we work towards eliminating gender-based violence in Renfrew County as well as beyond. We advocate for personal, systemic, and community change that will end violence against women, girls, and gender-diverse folks. And if either of you want to jump in and go right ahead.
I just want to point out the photo here of Anastasia, Natalie, and Carol. So this, as you may know, is just down the street at the Women's Monument.
Next slide, please. So I also want to talk a little bit about exactly what EVA does if you're unfamiliar as well. We do a lot of different things. We are a community committee that meets about monthly to discuss how we can work towards ending gender-based violence in Renfrew County. We definitely have a lot of great partner organizations on board. Lori is here from the Sexual Assault Center. We have partners from lots of different community agencies like Victim Services and the Regional Assault Care Program and a bunch of others if you'd like to know more about exactly who's involved. I am working on putting that up on our new website, but otherwise you can contact me and I can give you a full list. And we're always taking new members as well. We'd like to have representation for as many community agencies as we can. So we work a lot on public awareness and education. So we do things like this, we do workshops. Right now we're working on recording material and getting it up on our YouTube page so that it's accessible at all times for everybody. We have resources that are also in the middle of our rebrand. So we're carrying over the content, but just changing our name. We're also working on a new logo right now. One of our most popular ones is like a fold-out one that lists all the organizations someone experiencing violence might need. We have the Women's Monument, of course, as Roberta spoke about. We do vigils when a woman, girl, or gender-diverse person is killed in our county. We also hold a vigil every December 6th for the anniversary of the Montreal Massacre, as most of you, or all of you know. We have the Pebble Mosaic monuments. I don't know if you want to expand a little more on those, not to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. So in 2015, after the triple femicide, the Women's Sexual Assault Center went to a partner that they had worked with through the Violence Against Women coordinating committees across the province and asked what they could envision for an outdoor monument to commemorate survivors and those who did not survive gender-based violence. The previous monument is for women who have been murdered by their intimate partners, but these pebble mosaics were intended for persons who had experienced gender-based violence. So I was part of the team and we agreed to do one in Eganville, which they claim is the epicenter of Renfrew County, they claim. And so community members from Killaloe, Pembroke, Petawawa, Killaloe, did I just say Killaloe? Yeah. Pikwakanagan and Eganville went together and envisioned what they wanted to see and then created the Pebble Mosaic, which rests now in Centennial Park. So we thought we were finished, but then of course, Pembroke, Killaloe, and Pikwakanagan said, well, we participated in making this large Pebble Mosaic. We want one in each of our communities. So we said, okay, fine, back to the drawing board, tell us what you'd like to see, et cetera, et cetera. And then the Ontario government got wind of this and asked us to do 7 more monuments throughout the province. I won't go on and on about that. But they're beautiful outdoor reminders and places of contemplation and reflection and conversation. So I invite you to go and visit the one in Pembroke's kind of hidden at the back of the Women's Sexual Assault Center. But if you make an appointment, I'm sure they'll let you visit it. Or you can visit the one in Eganville or Killaloe or Pikwakanagan or some of the others. So I'll stop now.
Thank you. Rose, the expert on those monuments. We also do events throughout the year. Right now, coming up, we have our International Women's Day event, which is going to be in Cobden this year on the 6th of March, and I'm going to send out a save the date soon. We offer packages for officers on domestic violence, intimate partner violence. We do a lot of media campaigns when funds allow us to, or when media agencies give us a discount or allow us to get our message out at no cost, which is lovely, and that happens quite often, luckily. We have a bunch of community protocols and supportive brochures for victims and survivors regarding the roles of agencies involved. We put on community conferences, letter writing campaigns. We review documents and make recommendations. For example, the RUCS procedures. We facilitate community speaks, review recommendations from the DRC reports annually and what we can do to implement them.
What's that acronym again?
Domestic Violence Review Committee. Thank you. And a lot more. And of course, all the agencies involved with VIVA have their own actual jobs day-to-day supporting survivors and their clients as well. So these are some of the protocols I mentioned. Namely, we have the sexual assault response protocol, the child abuse response protocol, a protocol for the investigation, prosecution, and management of cases involving persons with special needs in the county of Renfrew, and the anti-human trafficking response protocol and care path. I could be here for a long time talking about each of these. They're definitely lengthy documents, but important, of course. So if you would like any more information on any of these, if you don't already have it, you can reach out to myself or to Lori, and either of us will get them to you. So just as a little kind of snapshot, so this is total intimate partner violence clients served and contacts. So in blue we have the total clients, and in orange we have the total contacts. And this is coming from Victim Services of Renfrew County, Bernadette McCann House, and the Renfrew Victoria Regional Assault Care Program. So as you can see, there's a big difference there. Just wanted to kind of put that out there before we dive into more specific information, as we come across people every day from all walks of life who are experiencing intimate partner violence. And only a small portion of those you'll find on client lists. It's a much wider spread issue, unfortunately, than one might realize. And it really is people from all walks of life. I've dealt with people who are in the field and they're experiencing intimate partner violence themselves, and they still don't know exactly where to go or what to do, because it's different when it happens to you, of course. Next slide, please. So this, namely why we're here, the 2022 inquest into the deaths of Carol, Natalie, and Anastasia. So in June of 2022, the inquest took place in Pembroke into their murders. The jury made 86 recommendations, as you know, for change, and we're actively working on implementing those changes and the things that we have control over, and advocating and lobbying for those that we don't. There is a link there to read the recommendations. We also do have printouts of all the recommendations if anyone would like to take a closer look. I'm sure you've all seen them before and are familiar with them, but just in case, we have those here if you'd like. So what has changed since these murders took place? Lanark County was the first rural county to enact recommendation number 1 as declaring intimate partner violence an epidemic. The City of Ottawa was the first urban site to enact recommendation number 1. The Ontario Government Privacy Commission and Office of the Coroner have responded in varying degrees to the inquest recommendations that impact them. Of course, we also experienced COVID, which took a toll on everyone everywhere for sure. And I think what I want to say about COVID is that it had a big impact on gender-based violence in our community and across the world. Folks who may have had an ability to get out of the house, either to their job or to a recreational group, to clubs they were part of, to see friends and family, found themselves trapped at home and often with their abuser. And of course, the more time you spend in an isolated area within 4 walls with that person, the higher tension is going to rise. And we saw a big rise in frequency of violence for folks living with intimate partner violence during this time. and a lack of resources. A lot of places were closed, they were only serving virtually. A lot happened with funding for a lot of different places as well. And so people were really struggling, and there was not as many options for them as to where to go or what to do or how to get help. So we're still looking at the impacts of that and how we kind of reverse that and prevent that going forward as well, because of course we're not immune to something like a lockdown happening again, be it with COVID or a new virus. There was also a big impact on frontline staff, so a lot of turnover, a lot of workload, compassion fatigue, burnout. The people who do this work usually don't do it for the pay, they do it because it matters to them and they're passionate about it. And unfortunately, there's just so much need and not enough funding in place to have enough employees in place to provide that support. So that's always a consideration as well. And since the triple femicide, 3 more women have died: Sarah, Jordana, and Summer. Their names are on the monument now at the rock down behind the bank as well. And of course, there's been so much heartache and loss over the loss of these women, not just for their family and their friends and their loved ones, but for the community as a whole. I think I had 2 in there the same. Can I go to the next one? Thank you. So what can we all do to make a difference in Renfrew County? Our recommendation is to read the 86 recommendations, of course, if you haven't already, to use your voice as a leader. We all have different platforms and different followings, and the more we can take advantage of that, the better. To endorse and act upon recommendation number 1, to declare intimate partner violence an epidemic, and to lead the change with rural pride, because as we know, there are a lot of differences between this happening in an urban community and a rural community. There are a lot of nuances in intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, sexual assault, if you're living somewhere like Killaloe as opposed to if you're living somewhere like Toronto. There's a lot of stigma and myths that still exist, I would say a little bit more so in rural communities. The kind of thing like, oh, you made your bed, now you have to lay in it. We don't believe in divorce. That should stay within the family, those taboo kind of ideas. There's also a lot more risk of isolation, lack of transportation, lack of services, wait lists, all that sort of thing. So just something to keep in mind too as we go forward, that there are a lot of different rural realities as opposed to somewhere like a big city. So we recommend specifically to take action on recommendations number 8, 10, 19, 21, 23, 49, and 52. I just wanted to take a few minutes to go through these in more detail. So number 8, require that all justice system participants who work with IPV survivors and perpetrators are trained and engaged in a trauma-informed approach to interacting and dealing with survivors and perpetrators. Oftentimes, and not just in the legal system, but dealing with any kind of service after you've been traumatized can be very re-traumatizing, be it intimate partner violence, sexual assault, whatever the case is. If everyone involved in these kind of services and supports is trained in what trauma-informed care looks like and a person-centered approach, that can reduce a lot of those negative effects. You can't take them all away, of course. Having to share your story about one of the worst things that's ever happened to you in your life is never going to be easy, but the easier we can make it, the better. Number 10, encourage that IPV can be integrated into every municipality community safety and well-being plan. Number 18, create an emergency fund such as the She Can Fund in honor of Carol Culleton, Anastasia Kuzik, and Natalie Warmerdam to support women living with IPV who are taking steps to seek safety. This fund should include the following: an easy, low barrier access for intimate partner survivors seeking to improve their safety, referral to the fund through intimate partner violence service providers, small grants up to $7,000. It should have no impact on Ontario Works or Ontario Disability Support Plan payments, consideration for the needs of rural and geographically remote survivors of intimate partner violence, Culleton, Kuzik, and Warmerdam inquestory recommendations, funding to be provided on an annualized basis with adequacy assessed and considered after the first 3 years. Inject a significant one-time investment into intimate partner violence-related support services. Renfrew County.
So the County of Renfrew's homeless prevention plan were the ones who who I'll say invented the She Can Fund. And it's been working very well, but each municipality, if you have the capacity, it would be super awesome to amalgamate with the county itself.
Thank you. If you're not familiar at all with the She Can Fund, right now, the County of Renfrew gives money to both Bernadette McCann House, the Women's Shelter, and Victim Services. They both have their own pocket, and it's kind of intended to be split up geographically, that one end of the county goes to Bernadette McCann House and the other would go to Victim Services to access that money. But if you needed access to it, we would help you do that if needed. It's intended to be as barrier-free as possible. The county has been very flexible in what the application process looks like and not having anyone kind of have to jump through hoops to access the money that is needed. But we review at every EVA meeting what the She Can Fund is looking like, what has it paid for, how fast was the money spent. I would say if there's any left, but there never is. It goes very quickly, and there's often a wait list for if it gets approved again and they get more money. We already kind of have a full list of people and what that's going to go to, so the need is definitely there, and we're very grateful to have that money for sure. Number 21, develop a plan for enhanced second stage housing for intimate partner violence survivors. One of the biggest barriers for leaving an intimate partner violence situation is where you're going to go. Not everyone is in a situation where they have loved ones that can house them, and sometimes they might, but it may not be safe for them to go there because the partner might know where this address is, and that poses its own risks as well. So if we have more housing options that are longer term than a shelter stay, that would be a really big consideration in women and gender diverse folks getting to leave. If they know, oh, I can apply for this, I could potentially go here, there is an option for me, is huge. Number 23, develop and implement a new approach to public education campaigns to promote awareness about IPV, including finding opportunities to reach a wider audience in rural communities. These messages should promote broad recognition of how to seek support, risk factors, and warning signs of IPV. Community and bystander engagement. They should be accessible in multiple languages and in multiple formats, and ensure that rural residents can identify themselves in the messaging and materials. Number 49, start grassroots safe spaces programs that businesses can participate in, where survivors can feel safe and ask for information, such as pamphlets and handouts from women's shelters, the Victim Witness Assistance Program, and men's programs. And number 52, expand cell service and high-speed internet in rural and remote areas of Ontario to improve safety and access to services. I can't tell you the amount of times I've been driving across the county for personal or for work, and there's no cell service. There's absolutely no way to access your data, and if something happens, we often think of, like, if we got a flat tire or something like that, we'd kind of be out of luck. But a lot of folks live in these areas that have no cell service. A lot of them either don't have the option of having high-speed internet access, or it's just not financially feasible, and that's a huge layer of isolation. It's another barrier. You can't really access counseling services unless you're physically going to the location, which oftentimes people living in violent situations, they don't have access to the car, or their kilometers are tracked. They don't have the opportunity to have a moment to themselves to go to an appointment. So often doing that over the phone or over video chat is the only option they have, say when the partner is out of the house or occupied with something else. So that would be another huge help for a lot of folks living in those more remote rural areas. On September 22nd, 2015 in Renfrew County, Anastasia Kuzik, Natalie Warmerdam, and Carol Colleton were killed in their homes by a 57-year-old man. All the women knew him. 2 were former intimate partners. In June 2022, an inquest was held by the Office of the Chief Coroner of Ontario to examine events leading up to the murders and consider changes needed to prevent further tragedies. 86 recommendations were made by the jury members. And we know recommendation number 1 is declare intimate partner violence an epidemic. 99 municipalities so far have declared as of February 2025, which is amazing. It's certainly not done, but that is a great start, and a lot of amazing work by multiple local agencies and folks. Especially, we'd like to credit Erin Lee with the Lanark County Interval House. She really led the charge on that, and she's convincing for sure. She got a lot of that done. Municipalities can play a role in prevention. It is true that everyone has a role to play in femicide prevention. Then it is important to become aware of, support people in different roles, and to learn the role each of us can play. Femicide is preventable. This is not something that happens and we have no idea why or how it got to where it did. We have a lot of work to do in the prevention stage: education, awareness, learning and unlearning, putting into plan those safety plans for municipalities, setting up housing, setting up internet and cell service. There are so many ways we can go about this. And of course, we can never discount any little act. Everything has a ripple effect, and every little change we make is worth it and is going to help somebody. There were 62 confirmed femicides in Ontario in 2023. These are almost always preventable deaths. Preventable because the pattern of behavior is predictable. Violence in relationships escalates over time without intervention. I think I can safely speak for Eva as a whole when I say that I have never seen a case where there has been a violent incident and then it stopped. If there is no intervention, it will get worse and it will likely lead to death. We respectfully request that you, the town of Petawawa, make the declaration and unite with other municipalities leading the way toward change as follows. Be it resolved that the town of Petawawa recognizes the issues of violence in rural communities as serious to the health and wellness of local families and communities. Be it further resolved that the town of Petawawa recognizes the rural Renfrew County inquest as important to all rural communities. Be it further resolved that the town of Petawawa declaring intimate partner violence and violence against women an epidemic as per recommendation number 1 of the Renfrew County inquest jury recommendations. And this is respectfully submitted by myself, Erica Joel, on behalf of the Renfrew County End Violence Alliance, Eva, Lori Norwood, Director of the Women's Sexual Assault Center, or WSAC, Renfrew County Sexual Assault and Rape Crisis Support Center. There's a legal name in there. And Roberta Della Pica, Eva member at WSAC volunteer. And then I do have two little slides after this, but the next one is an opportunity if anyone would like to ask any questions or any comments or concerns or general queries, if anyone has any. If not, that's okay too. Just wanted to give an opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Erica, Lori, and Roberta, for coming here this evening and sharing with us. It's obvious that you're very passionate about this, and it's great that you're continuing all of your advocacy and getting that message out there that this needs to end, that we need to end femicides, gender-based violence, and intimate partner violence. And part of what you're doing here this evening is getting the message out. And I think that falls upon all of us to get that same message out. What I found most striking were the statistics. You always think that things are improving, but I noticed the client visits that you had here in Renfrew County in the last couple of years, and that it's increasing. And that there were still 62 femicides in Ontario in 2023. It's shocking that those numbers are still there, and sometimes those numbers are increasing. And it just lets us know that we have to continue to advocate, and we have to continue to get that message out there. So thank you for all of the work that you do. And I will open it up for questions now before we get to those last few slides. Councillor Roos.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and you touched on a few points that I want to mention, but I want to thank all of you for your presentation here this evening and the important work that you do out there, and everyone who supports you out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Driscoll.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo Murray. I mean, I think what you're doing is amazing work, very important. And some of these people are, like, say, at the lowest points of their lives, and it's nice that they have someone who is compassionate. Like, you clearly all show that you are very compassionate and driven for this work. So I really hope that it continues to expand with what services you can offer, and I mean, hopefully you can try to stop things before they start. Thanks.
Councillor Kuzic.
Thank you so much for your time tonight. Thank you for your presentation. Here at the Town of Petawawa, we have our Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee, and we've been pushing forward on this file where we can, hosting Bernadette McCann House, providing some information to our staff on how to recognize and assist clients and other coworkers who are in those kinds of situations. And in those sessions, what we learned was how much every day when it doesn't touch you, you don't know, right? So expanding the ability for us to have those conversations, to spread that knowledge, to create those avenues of care where people can find their way to ways out. So I'm really looking forward to reading your PowerPoint again, reaching out with you both in the capacity of that committee and other capacities to try and get those protocols out, to get more out. But thank you very, very much for the hard work you do. And I look forward to joining forces with you again and doing what we can. Thanks.
Deputy Mayor Sapper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Total clients, 1,459. That's shocking. Statistics and the information tells us that 1 in 5 women experience some form of intimate partner violence. That's 1 in 5 women living in fear from their intimate partner. The person's supposed to love them, protect them, and be there for them. So that's really startling. The Upper Ottawa Valley OPP presents the Police Services Detachment Board, which I'm a member as well, with quarterly statistics, and those reports show that assaults, domestic assaults, are going up and continue to rise here in our town. So we definitely have a problem here. We are not unlike other communities. We are experiencing intimate partner violence, and we are experiencing violence against women, against children, and against gender diverse people. So thank you very much, Erica, Lori, and Roberta, for being here tonight, for shining a spotlight on something that needs to be talked about, needs to be discussed, needs to be part of the agenda of how we keep our communities safe and how we live to support our families, our friends, our neighbors, and our community members. So again, thank you very much.
Okay, I'll turn it back over to you for your final before we go back to Deputy Mayor Sabourin for a possible resolution.
Just very quickly, we want to thank you for your time and commitment. We want to make sure that these murders, the loss of these women's lives, have not been in vain, and that something comes as a result that can help prevent this ever happening again. So we're very happy to have been invited here and to have been given the opportunity to speak on this important matter for sure. And then that's just contact information. I deal with evarenfrewcounty@gmail.com email. I will say I only have 10 hours a week. Emails come flooding in. I do my very best. On our website is my cell phone number as well. I should put that in my signature that if it is important to call me, I will get that more likely. And then that is our new website. It is under construction, but it is up. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Erica, and I'll turn it back over to Deputy Mayor Sapper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to members of council for your feedback regarding this very important issue. As we have heard, 99 municipalities have declared intimate partner violence an epidemic. I would like Petawawa to be the 100th municipality to do so, and this evening I'm prepared to make a motion to declare intimate partner violence an epidemic in the town of Petawawa, and be it resolved to use the recommendations that you have prompted us with. I think they're succinct, to the point, and I really appreciate that. And I'm sure that our deputy clerk, or that our clerk has those recommendations. But anyways, I'm prepared to put that forward as a motion this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Okay, so it's, thank you, Councillor Coutu. So it's moved by Deputy Mayor Sabourin, seconded by Councillor Coutu. And don't need to read the whole resolution? No. Okay, so each member of council does have the list of the resolution on their desk. It would take me about 10 minutes to read through it. Not that it's not important, but we're using all of the recommendations that were presented by Eva. So now I just go to the vote now. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. So Petawawa is now the 100th municipality to declare intimate partner violence an epidemic. So again, I'd like to thank you, Erica, Lori, and Roberta for coming here this evening and for your continued advocacy. You've made the point to all of us here that all of us need to be a part of this. All of us need to spread the message, and especially male members of society need to do better. It's us who teach our sons the level of respect that they should have for everybody, especially those of a different gender than them. So we all need to do better, and we all need to get that message out to make sure that we do our part in ending intimate partner violence, not only here in Renfrew County, but everywhere in Ontario and across this country. So thanks again for coming and sharing with us this evening.
Thank you.
Somebody needs to remind me to look at Councillor Donovan when the vote is being called. Maybe you should wait.
She did.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. See you. Okay, we'll move on to bylaws. Yep. We'll move on to, if you want to take 30 seconds. Then.
It's okay, you can record it.
We'll take a 30-second break. I'll let her. Okay, let's carry on with bylaws. First up, we have bylaw 1723/25, being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy for the 2025 tax year and to provide for the payment of taxes. I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Ruth, second by Councillor Driscoll. That bylaw 1723/25, being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy for the 2025 tax year and to provide for the payment of taxes be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1723/25, being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy for the 2025 tax year and to provide for the payment of taxes. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1723/25.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1723/25. It's moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, that bylaw 1723/25 be read a third and final time and passed. Are there any questions on the bylaw? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? That's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1723/25, being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy for the 2025 tax year and to provide for the payment of taxes. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1723-25, this 18th day of February 2025.
Next, we have bylaw 1724/25, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a lease extension and amending agreement with His Majesty the King in Right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Infrastructure for 1913 Petawawa Boulevard. I need a motion for first and second reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that bylaw 1724/25, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a lease extension and amending agreement with His Majesty the King in Right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Infrastructure for 1913 Petawawa Boulevard be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1724-25, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a lease agreement and amending agreement with His Majesty the King in Right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Infrastructure for 1913 Petawawa Boulevard. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1724-25.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1724/25. Moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Roots, that bylaw 1724/25 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions, comments on the bylaw? So this is a new 5-year lease, is it? 5-year lease for the OPP station on Petawawa Boulevard.
Correct.
I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1724-25, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a lease extension and amending agreement with His Majesty the King in Right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Infrastructure for 1913 Petawawa Boulevard. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1724-25, this 18th day of February 2025.
Next, we have bylaw 1725/25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1462/21, being a bylaw to appoint an integrity commissioner. I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Root, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that bylaw 1725/25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1462/21, being a bylaw to appoint an integrity commissioner, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1725-25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1462-21, being a bylaw to appoint an integrity commissioner. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1725-25.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1725/25. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that bylaw 1725/25 be read a third and final time and passed. I'll call for the vote. Oh, wait, are there any questions on the vote? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1725-25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1462-21, being a bylaw to appoint an integrity commissioner. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1725-25, this 18th day of February 2025.
Next, we have bylaw 1726/25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1701/24, being a bylaw to adopt Schedule D, electronic guidelines for meetings of council for the corporation of the Town of Petawawa. I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that bylaw 1726/25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1701/24, being a bylaw to adopt Schedule D, electronic guidelines for meetings of council for the corporation of the Town of Petawawa, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1726-25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 1701-24, being a bylaw to adopt Schedule D, electronic guidelines for meetings of council for the corporation of the Town of Petawawa. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1726-25.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1726/25. Moved by Councillor Driscoll, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that bylaw 1726/25, be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions or concerns on the bylaw? So this is our new bylaw to allow councillors to zoom in to meetings,
Oh.
should they be away and wish to participate.
It's official.
Yes, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 172625, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 170124, being a bylaw to adopt Schedule D electronic guidelines for meetings of council for the corporation of the Town of Petawawa. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 172625, this 18th day of February 2025.
Okay, next we have some correspondence. First, we have a letter from Kim Charlebois of the Women's Sexual Assault Center of Renfrew County, and it's in regards to the We Stand with Survivors campaign request. So as they did last year, the Women's Sexual Assault Center of Renfrew County have asked that they have a We Stand with Survivors banner displayed at the Petawawa Civic Center for the month of May, exactly as they did last year. They're looking to expand this campaign throughout other municipalities in Renfrew County as well, but are hoping that we will continue to support their We Stand with Survivors campaign. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, how are we feeling about this? If everybody's comfortable, we need a motion. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Deputy Mayor Savard. That council approves the We Stand with Survivors Awareness Campaign request and supports the advertising of the banner at the Petawawa Civic Center for the Sexual Assault Awareness Month of May 2025. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have a letter of financial assistance to Renfrew County for the Renfrew County 55+ Games from Denise Lavallee, the fundraising chair. So we have a letter from these games asking for financial support from the organization. I'm hoping everybody had a chance to look it over, and I'm just wondering if there are any questions or comments on the request. Is there anybody that's feeling like this is something we should support? I'm not seeing anything in the way of support for this, so I'm assuming we'll treat this much like we have many of the other requests we get from similar types of organizations. There's the thought that if we set a precedent with one organization, then we will have to support the myriad of organizations that makes these types of requests from us every year. And it's also something that if we do this type of support, it should probably be into the budget and discussed at that moment as well. So I'm getting the sense that there's not a willingness here to support this endeavor. Deputy Mayor Savard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with what you're saying, and certainly my concern is a process of fairness by which we make decisions. And I think we've talked in the past about perhaps developing a policy that speaks to donations itself and how we go about that process, and perhaps setting a specific deadline each year and then a process of review, that kind of thing. And I certainly am still in favor of proceeding in that way, so that we can exercise our due diligence with all of the requests that we have to support various community endeavors. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Coutu?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to agree with the Deputy Mayor, I'd also suggest that we could bring this to our senior center and our recreation programmer and see if there's support to be had just in introducing our senior recreators to this opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, that's a good idea. So Colin, can we leave that with you to get the message out to staff and see if there's any way we can support it, maybe just in terms of getting the word out or advertising this one. CAO?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we're way out ahead of you. So I've already spoken to Colin Ploy about this. He was trying to generate some more information for the purposes of this letter, just to see what we actually do and how we are supporting the games. We do know that there are some participants locally but we don't have a clear picture of how many we made that request of the organization. They haven't provided us with that, but information about the games will be circulated through our seniors programs. Yes.
Okay, thanks. That's good to hear. So we'll receive this as information. Okay, next we have another correspondence regarding the request for the redistribution of provincial land transfer tax and GST to municipalities for sustainable infrastructure funding. And this comes from Mayor Tom Maracus from the town of Aurora. So this resolution has been making the rounds through the various municipalities, upper tier, lower tiers. And what they're asking us here in the town of Petawawa is to support a resolution to advocate for the redistribution of a portion of the provincial land transfer tax and GST from property transactions to the municipalities. What they're saying is this redistribution would provide a sustainable funding source for local infrastructure projects without imposing new tax burdens on residents. It would enable better long-term planning, support local economic growth, and enhance community services. So there are many municipalities, both upper and lower tier, that have already passed this resolution within their own municipalities. And I guess the more of us that show support for this, the more weight it might have at the province. I'll open it up for questions or comments. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will support this motion just for the reasons that have been mentioned and for the support that's already been given. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? I see a lot of nods. Councillor Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just echoing what Murray had to say, I think this is important that we join with this movement, show our support, and hopefully we'll see some resolution at the provincial level. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Anytime we can advocate for more funding for the province, I think it's a good thing.
For sure.
Okay, if you're comfortable, then I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan. Whereas municipalities face growing infrastructure needs, including roads, bridges, public transit, water systems, and other critical services which are essential to community well-being and economic development. And the clerk has told me I don't have to read the rest. That we all have this resolution in front of us. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, next we have some minutes. Council and committee meeting of February 10th, 2025. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, that the minutes of the council and committee meeting held on February 10th, 2025 be accepted by council, and that resolutions from that committee become resolutions of council. Any questions or concerns with the minutes? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes from the Petawawa Business Advisory Network meeting of December 3rd, 2024. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that the minutes of the Petawawa Business Advisory Network meeting held on December 3rd, 2024 be adopted as information. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you can see in these approved minutes, there was ongoing discussions with the business grants. There was discussions in regards to information for business openings and milestones and celebrations, upcoming events, and some roundtable discussions. I have spoken to everything in these minutes, but if there are any questions, I'll be more than glad to answer them. Thank you.
Questions on the PBAN minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have the Petawawa OPP Detachment Board meeting of December 18th, 2024. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Roots, that the minutes of the Petawawa OPP Detachment Board meeting held on December 18th, 2024 be adopted as information. Deputy Mayor Sabrin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just like to draw your attention to the update provided by Acting Staff Sergeant Miller on the 231 calls for service that were responded to over that month. There were 4 impaired charges laid in Petawawa. 1 7-day suspension was issued following 4 applied checks that were conducted. I'd also like to advise that the RIDE grant applications were provided by the OPP, and we anticipate receiving a notification on the grant applications in the new year, which we now have received. And I guess finally, just business as usual, but we did go into a closed session to conduct our performance of the detachment commander exercise, of which we are to provide input into each year. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Questions on the minutes of the OPP board? It's kind of concerning that we still have impaired charges being laid here in the town of Petawawa. Not only does that put the driver themselves in danger, but other citizens using the roads as well. So I think it's important we continue to get that message out there. And if you're going to drink, take a cab, get a designated driver, stay over. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have staff reports, PW-03-2025, an award request for proposal, PW-01-2025, janitorial services contract. This is something new for us, Chris.
Yes, hot off the press. Thank you, Mayor Service. Good evening, members of council. So you have before you tonight a very detailed staff report. I'll do my best here to summarize. We'll start with some background. The town of Petawawa has used a mix of contracted cleaning services and in-house cleaners for town facilities dating back to 2005. The level of service and quality of cleaning can be best summed up as inconsistent due to having various contractors and in-house cleaners. Until recently, we have not looked at the cleaning of our facilities in a holistic way. The past methods simply were not working, and we now have several stopgap contracts in place, and through attrition, we have lost our in-house cleaning capabilities. Our in-house capabilities were simply insufficient to meet the needs of our facilities, and changes in the labor market have made it difficult to find and retain in-house cleaners. Staff have studied our past and current cleaning practices and began to chart a new course for the town with the focus on securing highly qualified cleaners that can provide consistent cleaning services for all our municipal facilities. The RFP process, request for proposal process, provided staff with the opportunity to draft a well-detailed proposal document and release it to the private sector. The RFP was initiated prior to budget approval to ensure seamless transition and avoid service disruptions. The existing cleaning contract extensions expire on March 31st, 2025, and staff have exhausted all available short-term extension options. Staff are requesting pre-budget approval to award the RFP to finalize the procurement process and have the necessary agreements in place before the current contracts expire, as well as provide the vendor with sufficient time to mobilize and familiarize themselves with our facilities. This will ensure they can begin providing cleaning services effectively as of April 1st, 2025. The RFP results were as follows. The proposal was prepared and advertised on the town's corporate website, Facebook, and Instagram accounts. 14 firms requested the RFP package, and 3 firms submitted proposals on the closing date of February 4th, 2025 at 10 a.m. 2 of the 3 firms that submitted proposals were deemed compliant. The proposal was issued to receive submissions from proponents with the necessary skills, expertise, and experience to provide janitorial services at multiple town-owned leased buildings, and they are as follows. The Town of Petawawa Municipal Office, Fire Station number 1 and Fire Station number 2, the Public Works Administration Building, the Upper Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Building, Petawawa Public Library, the Petawawa Civic Center, Norman Banky Hall, Silver Threads Community Center, and the Comfort Station Visitor Information Center. Following the closure of the RFP, the submissions were reviewed by Ted Marcotte, Manager of Civic Properties, Christine Leon, the Director of Finance, Lana Gillard, Facility Services Liaison, and myself. Following the evaluation process, GC Janitorial was rated the highest. Reference checks were conducted and staff met with GC Janitorial to review the detailed cost submission and to provide clarification on any questions the selected proponent may have regarding the scope of work. From this meeting, a revised financial proposal was requested. Under financial implication, the revised financial proposal from GC Janitorial for year one is $266,730 plus HST. The draft 2025 budget contains sufficient funding allocated for janitorial services to fund the proposed contract expenses. For comparative purposes, in 2024, the town spent approximately $250,000 between contracted services and internal staffing. With the awarding of this RFP, there are also several other benefits to take into consideration as follows. Staff would no longer need to manage multiple cleaning vendors or oversee in-house janitorial staff, including hiring, scheduling, performance management, payroll, etc. A single vendor reduces the complexity of processing invoices from different suppliers. There is also no need for staff to arrange WHMIS training, health and safety training, or other compliance-related training for janitorial personnel. The term of the contract is for a 3-year period from April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2028. An annual cost of living increase will be imposed for the second and third year of the contract. And if agreeable to both parties, the contract can be renewed for 2 additional 1-year terms. In conclusion, staff recommend that Council awards request for proposal PW01 2025 janitorial services, multiple town-owned lease buildings to GC Janitorial 1809699 Ontario Inc. in the amount of $266,730 plus HST for year one, April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026 of the 3-year janitorial services contract. That ends the report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Chris. Obviously, a lot of work went into this, and a fair amount of study and information was gathered to ensure that this was done properly. There's also a lot of built-in savings I see here in terms of HR, training, managerial staff, a lot of time saving here as well. I just have one question. GC Janitorial, not that it's a big deal, but what does GC stand for, and where is this company? Is it local or?
I believe the G and the C are the initials of the proponents, Charlene and
it doesn't matter.
I'm forgetting the other name right now. They're located on Highway 41, I believe. So
Okay,
they are a local. They're a local business. Yes.
Okay, I'll open it up for further questions and comments. Councilor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a good idea, Chris. I like the deal now just with the one company, easy to manage, and I like the maintenance schedule. Yeah, so all the best on that. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Sandberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chris, and the entire team who reviewed the proposals for the RFP. I think this is a good step forward. I think it'll allow for consistency, as you said, and dealing with just one person should there be any kudos, bouquets, or any concerns or issues. So I think it's a great step forward, and I think it'll serve us well. I'm glad to see that the list of all of the buildings that they will clean we certainly have added to our inventory. So again, I think this is a really positive step forward for the corporation. Thank you very much.
Are there questions or comments? Okay, if you're comfortable, I need a motion. Moved by Councilor Roots, seconded by Councilor Donovan. The council awards request for proposal PW-01-2025 janitorial services, multiple town-owned / leased buildings to GC Janitorial 1809699 Ontario Incorporated in the amount of $266,730 plus HST for year one, April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026 of the 3-year janitorial services contract. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Chris, for that comprehensive report. Thanks for the support. Okay, next we'll go to councilor reports. Deputy Mayor Safford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. just the usual attendance at various council responsibilities, including the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Committee and the Police Services Attachment Board, as well as the Seniors Advisory Committee. And I look forward to the opportunity to attend via Zoom should the chance arise, and glad to see Councillor Donovan in attendance. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Only thing to report is that I participated in community champions training for the Moosehide campaign. So more to come on that. Thank you.
Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just some information for our residents. Just a reminder that there is a public meeting on the proposed budget on March 3rd, starting at 5:30 before the council meeting. If you're interested in speaking at it, please let us know before Wednesday, February 26th. Thank you.
Councillor Donovan.
Good evening. I appreciate this opportunity to attend the meeting from afar, where there is no snow. In terms of council reports, on the 23rd of January, attended the Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. 27th of January was a warming center meeting. And on the 11th of February, I participated in 2 webinars from CNL, one being promoting women in STEM programs, and the second one was a progress and update on the White Shell site. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. February 4th, I attended a Petawawa Business Advisory Network meeting. This meeting was the first of the year, and where we've seen Rick McNish once again be voted in as chair for the committee. As well, we discussed the new terms of reference, the 2024 year in review and programming, along with the 2025 business work plan. It was mentioned by a member that the MAT tax, which is now implemented, is in place, and there's been no complaints up to date at that time. Also, there will be 2 EV charging stations at the installed at Quality Inn in early spring. There was also asked about the comfort station and when could the community expect this to be operational and occupied by a staff member on a regular basis. This was a very important, busy meeting, and it was a good start to the year. Just another mention from the same committee, the Business Connect Networking Series event is held in celebration of International Women's Day, where women entrepreneurs from Petawawa and area can join for a meet and greet at the Ottawa Valley Coffee Shop at 10 Canadian Forces Drive, right here in the town of Petawawa on Friday, March 7th from 8:30 a.m. till 9:30 a.m. The fee is $13.54 to participate, which also includes a coffee and a snack. This is the first event in a series of Business Connect activities in 2025, where business people can get together to have a casual conversation about business and local happenings, and I think this is a very good concept. On Saturday, September 8th, I attended a Petawawa Fire Department water rescue training station down here at the Petawawa Point location. This was a great experience again to see the training and dedication of our town firefighters. Thursday, February 13th, I chaired a festival hall meeting. Topic of discussion here was our financial update, a financial strategy plan moving forward, also a business update of events and shows and information on how the first month of business operations have been, and where we've seen a live theater production, music events, and 2 movies. The manager improved our website, media platforms, secured many volunteers, improved canteen bar process. We are all now taking debit and credit card payments, upgraded cleaning services. We established a positive school partnership relationship, and technology where we can scan tickets. Now we have a QR code. This QR code will also give us more information in regards to our customers as we move forward. And that is everything I have to mention. So it's been a busy few weeks and lots going on. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And the CAO will be happy with me this evening. Not a lot going on. Wednesday the 5th, we had another branding meeting here at the town of Petawawa. Thursday the 6th was an all-day Renfrew County budget meeting, where the new county levy was set at about 5.5%. I attended a few of the cabin fever events on the last weekend of cabin fever. Thanks to all the staff and everybody that had a hand in planning and turning out all those fine events. Friday the 14th, had a meeting with our tennis pickleball club here in Petawawa. Ongoing, we've got some news about our Leeuwarden parade and potential visit of the mayor of Leeuwarden from the Netherlands. It is confirmed the mayor of Leeuwarden, Mayor Siebrand Duma, will be here on April 15th, visiting all the way from the Netherlands to the little town of Petawawa to attend our Leeuwarden parade with the RCDs that is being brought off the garrison down into the town of Petawawa. So that's pretty exciting to have that individual come here and visit us in the town of Petawawa. And today I went to an entrepreneur session with the grade 7-8 classes at Ballard. It was like a mini Dragon's Den. The one thing I will report of the 7 presentations of their products, most of them wanted to go and sell their products at the Petawawa Container Market. And these are 12 and 13-year-old kids, and they all knew about the container market, and they all wanted to go and sell their wares there. So it's not only reaching near and far, but it's also reaching the youth of Petawawa, the container market. Okay, and that's it. Next up, we have a closed meeting. So I need a mover and a second to go into close. Moved by Councillor Roos, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the meeting be closed pursuant to section 239, paragraph 2, paragraph B of the Municipal Act 2001, S.O.2001, C.25 to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
How are we going to do this?